The early 80s. The golden age of arcade gaming. So many classics that are household names today have been released in short succession between 1978 and 1981. Space Invaders, Asteroids, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Frogger. The list goes on. But while these celebrated classics were cementing their places in history, another contender quietly arrived in select arcades in a bustling Portland, Oregon market. Polybius. A game you may have never heard of, but was claimed to be so addicting that it burrowed into the minds of its players and never let go. Today, the game in the arcade cabinet known as Polybius is steeped in mystery, unanswered questions, and an array of doubt. A large portion of discussion surrounding the obscure game questions its very existence. Many claim it's simply an urban legend or that people are misremembering their 4-decade-old experiences. A select few swear up and down that their experiences were legitimate, and Polybius existed for a brief blip in time, before vanishing off the face of the earth. Back when Polybius first reached arcades back in 1981, gamers that stepped up to the plate were met with an experience unlike any other. Exact gameplay elements are contentious or unknown, but users claim it had an unrivaled grip on them, forming a near-instant addiction. Once you played, you were hooked, and as some unfortunate players began to discover, Polybius was a lot more than just another game. Those who engaged with the game soon began acting oddly or experiencing out-of-the-blue symptoms. Nausea, unprompted stress, horrific nightmares. Some more serious cases included seizures or uncontrollable thoughts of suicide. Many reportedly felt they became unable to control their own thoughts and emotions. But how could a routine day at the arcade result in such a tragic, prolonged outcome? It was only retrospectively noted how Polybius received special attention compared to other arcade cabinets. It was serviced much more regularly than the other games, and those who opened up the cabinet didn't seem interested in the coins that it had accrued. While the machine may have needed more regular care thanks to its popularity among players, some speculate that its data was being copied or recorded on a regular basis. Some more popular recollections of this game's existence recount men who didn't appear to work at the arcade regularly interfacing with the cabinet. Intimidating men in black suits would quickly open up Polybius and extract or observe what they needed, before leaving the arcade after completing their singular purpose. While it's uncertain how long discussion of Polybius and its enigmatic existence have been taking place, some of the earliest documented mentions of it date back to the early internet. On August 3rd, 1998, its game page was added to coinop.org, along with a description seemingly confirming the rumors surrounding the game. Its description reads as follows. This game had a very limited release, 1 or 2 backwater arcades in a suburb of Portland. The history of this game is cloudy. There were all kinds of strange stories about how kids who played it got amnesia afterwards, couldn't remember their name or where they lived. The bizarre rumors about this game are that it was supposedly developed by some kind of weird military tech offshoot group. The group had used some kind of proprietary behavior modification algorithms developed by the CIA or something. Kids who played it woke up at night screaming, having horrible nightmares. According to an operator who ran an arcade with one of these games, guys in black coats would come to collect records from the machines. They're not interested in quarters or anything. They just collected information about how the game was played. The game was very weird looking, kind of abstract. Fast action with some puzzle elements. The kids who played it stopped playing games entirely. One of them became a big anti-video game crusader or something. We've contacted one person who met him and he claims the machines disappeared after a month or so, and no one ever heard about them again. This description has since created a stir among both video game and urban legend enthusiasts. Details are evasive, but the subject is inherently fascinating. Who developed Polybius and what was its purpose? How did it cause such negative effects on its users? Did it even really exist? Those who believe Polybius was the real deal seem convinced that its development was overseen by the CIA, and its purpose was testing visual feedback loops that would make the mind more susceptible to subliminal messaging from the US government. While that may seem entirely too far-stretched to some, the idea of governments testing behavioral modification is rooted in truth. Many draw comparisons to the unethical government-led experimental program of the 1950s, codenamed MKUltra. Also designed to test behavioral modification, MKUltra used unknowing subjects to explore hypotheses of brainwashing and confession techniques. It is known to employ methods a bit more extreme than our Polybius example, and included manipulation via psychoactive drugs, chemicals, electroshock, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and isolation. In this context, the government deployment of an experimental video game arcade cabinet doesn't seem so impossible. With that being said, if Polybius did actually exist, it was covered up quite well. No existing photographic or ROM evidence confirming Polybius has been found, and the entire story crutches heavily on anecdotal evidence. Furthermore, many doubters of Polybius bring forward solid points about a possibility of a slew of similar events that occurred in 1981 that may have created this shared false memory. For example, there were several confirmed individuals that experienced negative effects or injuries from interacting with arcade cabinets. A newspaper from the Portland area at the time reported that a 12-year-old boy named Brian Morrow got sick after drinking Coca-Cola and playing Asteroids for 28 hours straight. Another boy from the same arcade on the exact same day experienced a seizure from the Atari game Tempest, a puzzle game with fast-paced, disorienting graphics that some compare Polybius to. Even the seemingly random story element of the Men in Black government employees lurking around an arcade has a possible explanation. Back in the early 80s, there were certain shady arcade owners that were dabbling in illegal gambling, which led to a very real government intervention and investigation. Combine all of those parallel explanations with the fact that in 1985, there was a short-lived arcade cabinet called Polyplay, and you may have a recipe for false memories connecting with the Polybius origin story. Regardless of its authenticity, the mystery surrounding Polybius is compelling, so much so that the 1984 movie The Last Starfighter, about a man in black recruiting a teen for his epic video game skills, may have been influenced by the legend. And Polybius has also landed in other examples of pop culture and media, notably making an appearance in a 2006 Simpsons episode titled, "Please Homer, Don't Hammer Them." It was seen in the arcade the bar was playing at with the sign reading, "Property of the US government" attached to the front of it. So now, I suppose that I'll ask all of you, do you believe Polybius really existed? Could it have been a normal arcade cabinet with an unusually short shelf life? Or did the US government have a hand in its creation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I really don't know what to think about this one. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for next week's mystery.